Teachers of Reddit, what is the weirdest thing a student has ever put on their get to know me paper from the beginning of the school year? I teach primary, so it usually ends up being an impossible career goal. When I grow up, I want to be a mermaid. When I grow up, I want to be a tree. When I grow up, I want to be a dinosaur. That kind of thing. You usually get at least 1 or 2 a year in the early grades. Not a get to know me paper, but this went down in one of my adult English classes a few years ago in Japan. A new student joined, so I asked her to introduce herself. So what's your name? Mirako. Nice to meet you, Mirako. Please tell me about something you like. I really like the band Queen. Great. What about something you don't like? Americans. Yeah, really? Why not? Well, America created the HIV virus that killed Freddie Mercury. Okay, moving on. I was student teaching in a 4th grade classroom, and the student I was working with had a disability, so we filled it out in an interview type way. He just said no for every question, except that his favorite animal is a donkey, which weirdly enough happens to be my favorite animal. Q. What's something great you've learned in school? A. One great thing I learned in school was how to slap bitches. From a young lady whose presence in my class I came to very much appreciate when I was teaching at a school that was little more than a holding facility for kids with major disciplinary issues. Tomorrow is the start of a new school year at a much less entertaining school, and I have 90 to getting to know you surveys sitting in my teacher bag. I'm sort of a dick sometimes. My daughter is in grade 2. At that age they bring the questionnaire home for mom and dad to fill out. Under the section other things you think we should know, I couldn't resist, cause lately I'm hooked on storytelling. I wrote, if she stands up in class, like she's in a trance, points at you, and says in a monotone, they are coming for you, it's much more likely she's doing it for comedic effect than that she's actually in touch with aliens. Have a great year. They have been warned. I'm one of those who put something. When I was in college, many years ago, I had a course where my prof was a bohemian writer, smoking in class. He wouldn't take attendance, so only a couple of people went each class. He would give high grades, but he still wouldn't give me maximum for papers, despite being there each class. So I told him this, and he was like, well, I have a hard time remembering names. So the next assignment also included my photo. He found it very funny. Got full credit. Miss those classes. What do you wanna be when you grow up? Green Mario. No, not Luigi. Mario, but palette swapped green. It was the only character he would willingly play during Super Smash Bros. He didn't know how to play, so he basically just threw Green Mario off the side of the stage repeatedly. There was one time that I had a substitute and she tried to give him the controller to play a Luigi, misunderstanding Green Mario for Luigi. It was not a fun day for anyone, apparently. I had to start leaving lists, and when I left, it was one of the things I made sure to remind my replacement of. Green Mario, man. Not Luigi. Green Mario. The daughter of Alan Shepard, the astronaut, used to live near me. She shared an anecdote once that, when her son was in elementary school, they did one of those surveys, and he was like, my grandpa was the first American in space, and also went to the moon. The teacher called her to tell her son to stop spreading bullshit, and she had to explain that no, it's actually true. I took a lot of art classes in HS, and my school's art department was pretty small, consisting of only 3 teachers. By my last year, I knew 2 of the teachers quite well, and was sort of friendly with them. But administration said we still had to fill out the same student info forms for every teacher at the start of every new semester regardless. Stuff like name and address, phone number, parents' names, language spoken at home, and so on. By my senior year I filled these same forms out at least 5 times for those 2 art teachers, so I just started writing stupid shit. Name, Zilla, Queen of the Dandelion People. Address, 10 Downing Street, City of Westminster, London. Father's name, anonymous donor #20593. Language spoken at home, Pig Latin. The teachers had a good sense of humor about it. One addressed me in Pig Latin and called me Zilla the entire first week. I did one of those identa kids things when I was 6 to 7 and the last of it was a video interview where they ask you questions about yourself. I was a huge tomboy and had a short haircut and was wearing a Batman shirt and carrying a Batman action figure. At first they started with identifying questions. What's your name? Gay cryptid. How old are you? 6 to 7. Where were you born? Redacted Georgia. Then they started asking my likes and dislikes. Favorite song? Lion King song. Favorite movie? Lion King. Then that's where things went downhill. Favorite color? Blue. AWW. You don't like blue. What about pink or purple? I like blue. Well, what's your favorite cartoon character? Batman. Duh. You don't like any princesses or anything? What about Ariel? Batman. At this point I was pissed and didn't understand why he kept saying my answers were wrong and something in me snapped. Favorite food? Batman. What about hot dogs or pizza? Batman. Okay. Favorite subject at school? Batman. Favorite sport? Batman. Nervous laugh. You can't answer Batman to everything. Batman. At that point my mom intervened and we concluded the interview portion. As we left the blockbuster this whole thing was being hosted at, I remember getting one last look at the guy, and when he turned and caught my eye I silently raised my Batman action figure at him, as if to say Batman one last time. My son's class was asked to stand up and say 3 things about themselves, 2 true and 1 false. My son's son said he likes the color purple, is a GD master and can fly. His new teacher pointed out that it was supposed to be 2 true and 1 false and my boy said, but I'm a GD master. Kids laughed and the teacher remembered him. Not a teacher, but here's a story from my high school. A group in English class had to write an application letter for a job at a kid's summer camp, stating what their strengths are and why they are the right person for the job. One kid wrote that he was perfect for the job because his genitals were at the same height as the children's mouths. He got expelled. That they found a dead body once. The funniest thing about it was the mum had put a statement on her part of the things you should know about my child part, which was submitted electronically to say she wasn't lying, but the mum had run out of the characters, just as she said it was a. We were sat around the table saying it was a what? It was a what? So we had to email the mum about it to clarify. Turns out she was saying it was a horrific situation that she has had counseling for, but I just wanted to let you know that she's not lying if she mentions it. This girl had found a naked dead guy in a river whilst on a litter pick and yeah, she did mention it a few times. I'm in college so naturally those get to know you questionnaires are pointless because I'm ready jump in and get into some hardcore work but no. We had to answer questions in a political science course. Here are the questions and my answers. What's your favorite food? A child's tears. Where do you work? I had a job, but now I just disappoint my parents for my full-time employment. The benefits are great. Is there any particular part of government that fascinates you? Yes, the people elected. I mean, have you seen the results of 2016? Then I answered the questions in a serious manner. It gets old answering everything in a sarcastic manner. When I was 7 we had to write a questionnaire about ourselves for our new teacher. I wrote that I was very hard to persuade without a real understanding of what the word meant, but it was my favorite skill to upgrade when I played Cotter. Not a teacher, but as a student I like to fuck with my teachers by writing batshit insane stuff on my get to know me worksheets. Like for example this year I told my aerospace science teacher that my favorite pastime was playing Nipaglungus with my friends. Not a teacher, but a student who was in a class with someone who would apply to this. This was in primary school. The teacher handed out strips of paper and asked everyone to write down one thing about themselves so we could all get to know each other a little better. Generally everyone wrote their name and their favorite hobby, but this one kid wrote, "My brother died a month ago and I killed the dog." I'm still unsure if those 2 things are correlated, but needless to say the teacher was in shock to hear that. Not a teacher, but was a teaching assistant. Trying to delay them as I set up my computer and eat a snack. I make them share their major, hometown and one interesting fact about themselves. First guy says he has a 3rd nipple and shows the whole class and asks if any girl wants to touch it. This was university mind you. He's in my major and he'll forever be 3rd nipple guy. My older brother told me about a paper like this that he had to write. He went on and on about how he got this new bike over the summer and how awesome it was and all the adventures he went on, but one day he left it out on the front porch and someone stole it. Then his best friend wrote about how many walks he went on over the summer until he saw a bike laying out on a front porch and decided to take it. I never found out if they were questioned by the teacher. So in this case I was actually the student. Back in elementary school we were given an art assignment to draw things that represent us. I don't remember why I did this outside of maybe too active of an imagination, but one of the things I drew involved people being drowned in lava from an erupting volcano while I sniped them from an attack helicopter. Obviously I ended up getting called into the counselor's office a few days later for that one. Not a teacher, I was a youth counselor in a Jewish youth movement. Had an 8-year-old Jewish kid who writes something like this regarding this question. I love the Holocaust. Can you teach us about that in a fun way? PLZZZZZZ. Apparently, the kid's grandfather was a camp survivor and kept telling his grandchildren that they are still too young to know details about the Holocaust, but they should never forget. This was exciting for the kid I suppose cause he thought it was like a secret that only a few knew about. Man, in 2nd grade we had to color a stocking for Christmas. My family used to have Christmas at my great grandma's house and I colored it red, green, and black. They put me in counseling because of it. I colored black because my great grandma kept the lights off in the rooms we weren't in and they thought I was depressed. My mom and dad had to take off work and come get me to take me home because the school refused to let me go back to class when I was depressed. I was never depressed, and I never have been. I had a student last year write I hate all of you for every single question. This was 6th grade English. Age: I hate all of you. Grade: I hate all of you. Favorite animal: I hate all of you. Favorite book: I hate all of you. And so on and so forth. This was a cry for attention from this kid to both mom and dad after said student found out his parents were divorcing the day after he and mom moved to the States. Kid was a military kid and had never been to the States. In his mind, any cry for attention would make mom and dad talk, thus would make them get back together. He progressively got worse through the year, and by Halloween mom had withdrawn him after he ran away from school and sat in the middle of the street in front of it. He hid in the bathroom during homeroom, waited for the hallways to clear, then ran out of the school like a bat out of hell. We only know this because one of the guidance counselors saw him and his homeroom teacher reported him missing. Since he was being homeschooled, school still had to keep tabs on him to ensure he was progressing along with his peers. School finds out he's not due to still trying to carry out his plan of getting his parents back together. Dad then began threatening mom for full custody when he came stateside due to her not being able to get to school. To be fair, the kid played mom like a fiddle and ran the household like a tyrannical preteen king. Last we heard, he had run away from home in an effort for mom and dad to get back together. Cops found him a few hours later on a playground, and dad sent him away to military school across the country. I hope that little dude is alright, even though he was a massive pain in the butt.